to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this sixth cool day here around most of the country. Here on this Friday, which is next week will be Friday the 13th, folks. Hopefully to have the Mad New Yorker in. We're going to discuss this week's biggest games. A lot of good games in the conference championship games, folks. A lot of good games there. A lot of interest, a lot of new characters and whatnot. You know, we'll go over that, get his take on this week's biggest games here, and we'll recap last week, and we'll go over the biggest games, including Chargers-Chiefs. I think that'll be a good one here. But stand by. We'll take our first and only break. We'll be back here momentarily. Hopefully the Mad New Yorker will be here, and we'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows, giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
All righty, then I'm live here. Hey, Jeremy, good to see you, man. I'll tell you, that team, the Detroit Lions, are one of the best stories, if not the best story of the 23 or the 24 season, if you ask me. I've got I've got Dan Campbell's post-game speech and game ball handout saved. I was going to play it Monday or perhaps on Tuesday's program and go a little bit more into that game. last Thursday. I was supposed to do a recap here with the Mad New Yorker, but I will say this. A few blessings in disguise for this Lions team. Like I said yesterday, for one thing, they've had a flood of injuries. Taylor Decker didn't play. Who was it? DJ Ritter. That a really good offensive line, really good defensive line. A lot of their backups getting help. Scored 31 point. Was it 34-31 there last night? It goes to show you that this team is resilient. They're totally bought in. And as I said, Jeremy, I don't know if you saw the clip or not. About a month and a half ago, I really think this team, if you listen to Dan Campbell's post-game speeches and you look at how they're built on the interior, how complete this team is, they remind me so much of that 92-93 Cowboy team there. I know they had one dominant running back. This team has a two-headed monster type of running backs that they play here with David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs per se. But with Emmitt Smith there, good line there. A lot of belief in Dan Campbell, the way that team had in that Dallas Cowboy team, if you ask me. It was a very impressive win. That's one blessing in disguise for Detroit. The other blessing in disguise for Detroit is the fact that Minnesota and Green Bay are right on their heels, not to mention, as I mentioned yesterday, that Philadelphia is right there on the heels for that one seed. You know, if you're a Lions fan, you don't want that NFC championship game played out there in Philadelphia, although I do think that, Dan Campbell will have these guys ready, per se. I do think he would have them ready to play. But, if you're the Jeremys of the world, the local Detroit folks, Freddie the Pizza Man, Scott Morgan-Roth, all my Detroit natives there, you want that game played in Detroit, with that place to be rocking up there inside there in their dome. So I say all that because you just do not want this team to rest on their laurels the last 3 to 4 weeks to a month going into the bye week and coming out looking like a team, like a 2005 Colt team that was way out in front of everybody. The last 2 games, they didn't play that many series, and it showed when they came in and fought a battle-tested Pittsburgh Steelers team that year, led by second-year quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, Jerome Bettis there offensively. They finally got their footing, but it was a little too late. That late kick by Mike Vanderjagt, and of course they lost the game. You'd rather have them being in playoff mode going in, having that edge. So I know a lot of the fans don't like this because it kind of puts you on the fans. This kind of, hey, Carlos, where you at, man? Can you not, maybe he's not by link says stream ended. Let me go ahead and we'll do a quick commercial break, and we'll send him one more link there, folks. Okay. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All right. So I sent Carlos the link back here. So we'll see how that works out for him. I hope there's no problems. I've had some problems with some problems with StreamYard and downloading the show the last few days. I've also had, there he is. I guess I did send you the wrong link. Hey, Carlos, man, good to see you there.
Yo, happy Friday.
Yeah, man. Let me see what the crowd. Hey, man, welcome to the show, man. Okay. You know what? Let's skip that first segment there.
No, I heard you. Keep going. You had it.
Yeah, well, I was just going on last night's game. But let me ask you this, man.
I was hoping that the Lions would mess up because they kept going for it, but
don't you? Yeah, I know. But don't you and Jeremy, if you just look at it from this perspective, don't you want them to be in playoff mode these last 4 to 5 weeks, if you're counting the playoff, the first game in the playoff, rather than cruise control where they have a game or two lead on Philadelphia and they've got a 3 or 4 game lead on, say, Minnesota, where they're kind of coasting into the play. Remember the 2005 Colt team that had a very good record? They were like 14-1 at one time, and they were coasting going in, and a red-hot, battle-tested wild card team, if you remember, Carlos, led by Ben Roethlisberger, came in there and beat them. And I thought they had a very good team, but they were coasting down the stretch. It took them way deep into the second half to get their footing right, if you recall.
And I think that one team, the Indianapolis had, I think they were struggling with their line, the defensive line, and some of their cornerbacks were either hurt or they were coming back from an injury. But like, I think with the Detroit,
they coasted that year because they were so good so early.
I think with Detroit, I don't want to say that the hype is real, but the coaching staff, the players, they all believe, and that's a good thing to have. But you still have to play these games out, like and like you said, like, you know, you don't want to be coasting, but the schedule doesn't allow them to be as competitive, you know, because some of these teams that they played, that they were you could tell that the team was better. Some of these teams had injuries that they played, and but it's not to say that they would have lost those games either. So that, you know, but kudos to them doing a good job. They they're all believing in the system. They believe in Dan Campbell, and you know, that's a good team right there so far this season. I don't trust in them because once they leave the dome, it's almost everything's up in the air. Like they're not the same type of players. They're not the atmosphere is different. So I feel like they need
a great game against Green Bay a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I feel like they thrive on being in the home. So, you know, I feel like I just, you know, I don't trust them yet, but they are a good team, and you have to give them credit for, you know, doing what they're doing so far. You know, you can't disqualify them because they haven't been a good team in so long, right? So their record is what the record says it is, and we'll see come playoff time how they'll adjust.
Kneecap biting says we beat Green Bay in the rain cold week 9. It was a 21-point game at one point, Jeremy, and it was an impressive win. That's what I was reminding the Carlos that. And remember, what about the other game where they were way down double digits against Houston?
Yeah, no,
Sunday Night Football.
And again, those two teams in Houston and in Green Bay are teams that are kind of been plateauing. They haven't gotten better from last year's experience, and they're just kind of like
two very young quarterbacks. I'll give you that. Yeah.
So, but you know, I don't trust, and I never did trust Goff, and I don't think I will, because he's just a stand-up, straight-up throwing quarterback, which is okay. He's got the tools there that he needs to be that kind of player. But, you know, when it comes down to being in the playoffs and the defensive teams that are the strongest are going to come and chase you down, he doesn't have enough speed, and he doesn't have enough skills to adjust to that. And I feel like if they're going to win, he has to outperform the defense that he plays against. That's from my perspective. You know, I've said it from the get. You know, like when he was in LA, the same thing happened. Or when he was with the Rams, the same thing. Like he was a pedestrian quarterback. He helped them get into the playoffs, but they also had a better defense and they were able to compete. But he didn't help them. He didn't help that offense get to where it needed to get to win a Super Bowl. So
yeah, I just think that this marriage has turned out to be great. With
but
Jared Goff, it's better than I could have expected. Now, of course, we want them to take home, a ring. But
right, exactly.
2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever this was done, I can't remember exactly. I had no idea this would be this good for Detroit. And I by the way, he is a captain on that team, so they respect the heck out of Goff. He's not a quiet guy, but he spoke up there as a line. Let's see what second completion percent. Oh yeah. I mean, Jeremy loves him.
Yeah. People love Burrow, but he's not on the team.
Tua. I mean, Tua.
He's not on the team. He's not on the team. He's just a quarterback. He's not on the team that's going to help. That's going to be anywhere near getting the
top tens and stats. Yeah, it's a
the
great marriage. I something. I think Goff is happier. I'm just watching their post game stuff. I think he's happier here than he was with the Rams, and I know him and Sean McVay was pretty close.
I'm sure if you would have got paid that money, I'm sure if you was getting paid that kind of money, you'd be happy too.
No, man.
You got a nice. You got a nice.
It is if you're on a bad team and you're getting a lot of money.
Yeah,
I don't think Calvin Ridley's too happy right now in Tennessee. He's getting paid a ton, man. I think it's real. I don't think nothing's fake about Detroit, that locker room or anything.
No, I never said that.
All their post games go viral.
Yeah, no, I never said that it wasn't real. I just said I don't trust it. So
Burrow does have MVP numbers, and defense let him down, and because you guys got one of their best tackles, and like I said, you guys know how I feel about that owner. He's just a POS. Guys, we're tight on time because of my bad with the link. Real quick take. What do you think about Belichick, man? Interviewing with North Carolina, and that came out today. He wants his son to get a job there later.
I don't put nothing on that. I don't think Belichick will go and coach in the NCAA, especially the way it's set up now.
Yes.
And I just think that he's doing that just to get NFL teams nervous. Like, oh no, we better pick him up before he gets somewhere else. So
yeah,
it's just a little reminder that he's still out there and he wants to coach. But again, I don't feel like he should coach. But that's whatever he wants to do. He has an opportunity to get it, and if a team wants to pick him up, fine, they can pick him up. Some people you mentioned maybe even try going to Ohio, to Cincinnati, and I'm like, I don't think Belichick is.
Oh, yeah, but Keith, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't know if a guy would want to pay him, but it would be perfect marriage, man.
Yeah, I mean, he might have a quarterback there, and he's a defensive guru, but he would still have to put together a hell of a defensive team in a little bit of time if he wants to win something there. And I don't know if he has enough time to do something like that in Cincinnati, especially the way the ownership is with the budget. Like, you have to understand, Kraft, as much as he was open-minded and he was willing to spend the big bucks. I mean, he got players re-signed. He got players to stay on the defensive end, and he trusted that Bill Belichick was able to get them there defensively, if anything. So, but I don't think he's going to have that kind of.
He's not hard, Jeremy. It did come out today. Now, I haven't confirmed it, but I did read something. I'll say this because not everybody's running with it. There was one report that he wants his son to come take over for him. I think his son's like a coordinator somewhere with the Pac-12 or something like the old Pac-12 with Washington, if I'm not mistaken. The NCAA Washington. Oh wow, looks like I was clicking on my Mike Gundy got fired from Oklahoma State.
That was in the air already. So
okay, yeah, we had 3 or 4 wins, and something I said, sometimes things just wear thin, and Bill Walsh said this, the former great San Francisco 49er coach. Every 10 years, coach, executive should move on. Now that's in professional, but I don't know. Maybe in the collegiate level as well, because you're still dealing with management. Let me double check
Well,
that.
I mean, look what happened in 10 years in the college football game. Like even when we were in schools, things are totally different. Like, you would never think that the SEC would be what the SEC is today, including teams like Texas and A&M. Like, that would never have been something that we would fathom happening to the SEC.
Let me double check. This one guy is not my normal guy that I look at. This Brett McMurphy guy, I was looking for one thing, and then this came up. I do know that there were some issues there with Mike Gundy.
Yeah, they didn't win.
Yeah. Well, that plus he didn't want to make the changes on his staff,
Right.
So it's one of those things, man. Let's see if this guy's reported. If he doesn't say anything on it, maybe Gundy is not fired.
Well, you mentioned it before, so
yeah. I'll squeeze that for a second. I haven't got any confirmation, but I would be surprised if they didn't fire Mike Gundy. They're not playing well. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. I thought that they had a really good shot to go for the Big 12 championship. They wasn't even close. What are they, 3 or 4 wins? So disregard that. Mike Gundy has not been fired officially, but that could change any minute, That could change any minute. There's some stipulations about him, the team wanting him to do away with some staff. And that happens a lot in pro and college, really more in the pros than the college. Got to get your take, man. I forgot to send you the text, but Ryan Day, Ohio State, man, what's your thoughts on that? 20-point favorites practically in some lines.
I mean, if you take the Michigan rivalry game out of the situation, is he a good coach for Ohio State? Like
record-wise, yes.
Yes.
They're not going to win a national championship.
If you're just looking at that whole rivalry game and you want to set your stake on that and be dumb to fire this guy who's actually done pretty well for your as a first time head coach, and he's got the record that he's got, you don't know, and we don't know, and I'm not saying this because I don't, he could be the next Saban if he goes somewhere. He could, Like we don't know that. So and you have to pick and find a coach that'll be able to keep your team in the situation that it's now. Ohio State is in a good situation. Football.
Why did they lose that game? What happened? What happened in the Michigan game?
Well, all Michigan had to do was run the ball against them, and they figured out a way how to do that. Michigan just pulled an old, like, I'll just do what Bill Belichick does, and I'll just keep running the ball, and they'll have to stop us. And they did it in a way where it was productive. They didn't just run. Like, they schematically created an opportunity for their offensive line and their running back to keep running the ball, take time of possession, and just got them. And they're not used to that. They weren't. I don't think any team played them like that.
It was a good scheme game.
Right.
What he should have did? They outrushed them by over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Michigan did. Sometimes you have to pass to set up the run. And that Mason Graham, Jeremy, from Michigan, there's a lot of teams in NFL. He's projected to be a top 10 pick, maybe top 5, top 6 pick. Mason Graham, if I'm not mistaken, the defensive tackle from Michigan is a house of fire.
Right.
And, of course, they replaced their center with Ohio State. Ohio State's so loaded, you wouldn't think that would be a big deal. But apparently Will Howard was hurt, banged up. This may be a blessing in disguise for them because it gives him more time to heal up, because I think they'll still make the playoff. But this Graham guy is really good. And, of course, I know that Michigan has a recruit that's coming in from, was it 25 or 26, this top quarterback. So what I thought Michigan was going to be a disaster with Sherrone Moore, looks like their tables are turned, their fortunes are turning quickly. That was a big win for them. And is it you're a Tennessee guy? You went to school with me. We follow Tennessee, Florida. Is Michigan in Ryan Day's head the way Florida was in Tennessee's head? Remember, Tennessee lost 11 straight to them.
And I think it's just the whole you have to win this game. It's not, and you're right. It gets in your head like you're a player or you're a coach. Like we have to win this game because this is, our rivalry game. This is the biggest game of the year for us. And I think that shouldn't be like if you're a coach and you're coaching these guys up, every game should be the biggest game, because you got to get to the championship game. And it just got to a point where, just think about it, Robert. What the Michigan quarterback, how many yards he had passing?
62. I mean, I'm just telling you, I've got the box score. I had to look at that 2 or 3 times. I thought that was some kind of misprint.
No, I mean, so
that's crazy talk.
He almost didn't get that 62.
If I'm not mistaken, it was like 50, 60 yards. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, like
they basically beat them with the wishbone type of. I mean,
that's exactly the point right there. It was a wishbone type of offense.
Yeah, and not to the exact. I know Germany's
right, but you're just running and running. You're just running the ball and you're taking the time away from the team.
62 yards rushing by Davis Warren. Yeah, and of course they ran for 172 yards off of 42 attempts. And Mason Graham, I'll say this here in Nashville, if Tennessee is on the board at 5 or 6 or whatever,
you take them,
and that Mason Graham is available, I would try to trade Jeffrey Simmons and get another first round pick and some more draft picks and draft Michigan's Mason Graham. I think that guy has an Aiden Hutchinson-like effect on teams. This guy's good, man. I mean, he's clogging that middle for Michigan.
If I'm New York, the Jets or the Giants, I give you. You want them, you can have them. Just give me your later picks in the rounds, and I'll take.
Well, you guys don't need a tackle. You got quit. I mean, technically, Tennessee don't need one.
You know what I'm saying?
But they need to. I would rather see them have Sweat and Mason Graham rather than a guy like Simmons, who's an older player. Although he's still very valuable, you could get 4 or 5 picks for this guy.
Yeah, if you're the way you're talking, they could get that for sure. They could get a.
Say you pair him with Sweat, and that's your run defense right there, Jeremy. That's your run defense right there.
9 years.
They may need to update
4 years.
Upgrade coach in there. Boy, I'm really getting off the rails today. Okay, let's get full moon.
I heard it was cold in Tennessee. What's going on?
Oh, it snowed Monday. We had the dusting. And today, dude, it was like 38 was the high. It was 17 this morning.
Oof.
Really cold down here, man.
It's cold up here too, man. So
yeah, DJ Ritter and Ammon. Yeah. So anyways, let's go over quickly of what last week.
I think I only got one game. I got one game on you, right? So it's
no. It's I'm up 9. I won both games. But I gave you all those games to look at earlier. I gave you all those conference championship games. So you can catch me, man. Let's see. Boy, I got to go back on these text messages, brother, so we can recap here. Okay. Quick take on, Atlanta and the Chargers. Do they simply need to possibly think about putting in Michael Penix? Kirk Cousins 4 interceptions last week. One went for a pick 6. He looks almost washed up, man, overnight.
Yeah, but the thing with that is if you give Penix opportunity, you don't win or gain for anything from that at the end of the day. I think the thing with Pitts is over. I think their time with Pitts is over. I would move him. He's not what anybody expected.
So what do you think about Cousins? You just ride this out and hopefully maybe he's injured or something or what?
Here's the thing with Cousins. It just depends on what his contract says and what he's going to do. You can
get out of any contract. You just got to eat the money.
No. The coach has got to look at the contract and say, does he have to play? Can we put him on the bench? all these guys play sometimes because the contract says that they have to play, not because they want to play or that they could play. Like that's sometimes we kind of forget that as fans. Like we want certain things to happen, but we have to understand that these guys have contracts and the teams have to, do what the contract says. Or they can do.
You don't have to do what the contract.
I mean,
you know what? Russell Wilson had a massive contract. He got benched last year.
But he also, because of that, he had a stipulation probably in his contract that says if he don't play, you can move him. And
he's a Steeler now.
Yeah,
and they're $49 million dead cap.
That's what I'm saying. We don't think about those things that's in writing.
Well, that's why I thought it was really it was crazy to do the way they did it.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said before, that general manager and the coach Raheem Morris, he's just an insurance policy.
Right.
That's all he was. Right. And the owner bought it, and they brought him in, but they're on the 3-game losing streak, and he looks horrible. Now, maybe he snaps out of it because he does know this former team. They played Minnesota this week. I don't know. All I know is he looked awful last week.
The best thing
he's got a lot of firepower there. It shouldn't be an excuse for that.
I know.
Maybe he's injured and he's not telling. We don't know it. They're not disclosing it.
Or he's not fully recovered still. Like he did have a bad injury.
He came back from Achilles, I think.
Yeah. So how about this? I mean, I'm sure
it's starting to nag him later on in the season.
Yeah, I'm sure the contract pending, whatever the situation is, he's still going to go in a dome this week, right? He's going to Minnesota, right?
Yeah. So
he's going to play because it's not a bad situation for him to play in as far as field condition wise.
Who do you like in that game? We'll kind of do 2-1 since we're strapped on time here.
I think that Atlanta could win this if Minnesota's not careful. I'm hoping for Atlanta to do something because they are in a 3-game skid. So, your back is against the wall, so you have to play out. And Minnesota has a tendency of, even though they score, they give up leads. So this could be a close game. And
he knows what Flores does.
Mm-hmm.
He played on that team last year. It's Flores' first year as a coordinator, although I think they're a little bit better this year. Minnesota is. I still like Minnesota to win this game. It's a 5.5-point favorite there. I think there is a possibility Raheem Morris may pull the trigger in the second half of this game and put Michael Penix in the second half. But I still like Minnesota 30-20 to get the home win because Atlanta really don't have a pass rush, man.
That's the thing. That's the biggest thing.
Really getting to that's it's really hurting them.
Yeah, I think that if Minnesota wins, they'll win 27-24. But
You're saying Minnesota or Atlanta?
No, I think Minnesota's going to win that. But I'm hoping that Atlanta goes in and plays. You know what I'm saying? Like, because your back is against the wall. So, but it's hard to win at that away game at the end, towards the end of the season when people are thinking playoffs. So
Speaking of Minnesota, Arizona blows a lead to Minnesota, comes back. Arizona's also on a losing streak. Is Arizona coming back to the Arizona we've kind of always thought they were going to play well early, fall back late, even though they got a different coach now, Jonathan Gannon. He's in his second year.
But what are they missing? What is Arizona missing that they can't get it together?
I think they're running the same offense as they did last year. And that's what they wear down on the second half of the season. I don't know what their deal is. All I know is that they should not run that same offense. They need to run more power football and roll out Murray a little bit more up from underneath center. They think he's so small they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's a bad loss there. Arizona kind of coming back down to earth a little bit.
And they're playing a division leading Seahawks.
Well, yeah, they're playing Seattle.
Aren't they in the lead in the division right now?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I was talking about last week's game. Yeah,
I don't think that they will. I think Seattle right now is getting in one of those playoff runs. The team's getting hyped up. They know that they're up in their division, and I think they're gonna win this game too. It's gonna be close though. I think Arizona's going. I think this is probably the same score as the Minnesota game. It's probably like anywhere between 27.
Okay, yeah. So Arizona now is at home against Seattle. We could go ahead and rope that game into this. Yeah, Arizona is at home, but my thing is Seattle's actually on a 3-game winning streak over. I didn't know that. I didn't look into that.
Yeah.
There's some tight games, like 1-point game. One almost 20.
Yeah.
Geno Smith 3-0 against Jonathan Gannon's defense. That's the head coach there of Arizona. One was a 2-point. Arizona's actually a 2-point. Arizona's favorite at home against Seattle. I actually like Seattle 21-17 Sunday to beat Arizona, and that would be 3 straight losses for Arizona. So it looks like Seattle is actually in the driver's seat in the NFC West. Although I know Geno Smith's not the guy, but if you're a Seattle fan, you know you've got a pretty good roster there, and you just got to run with what you got. And getting in the playoffs, that's pretty cool, even though I don't think they'll go far.
Seattle's young defense is scary. They're fast.
Yeah, the defense is coming together. Yes,
they're fast, and you know, they forget if they make mistakes, and that's good. And you know, if you're one of those teams that are in that division, man, you better watch out, because those guys, and if they don't even, let's say they don't get a sack, they're gonna hit you hard. And I like that. You know, they're very competitive. So, but I feel like Seattle's gonna win this game 27-24. I think it's, like I said, I think
like Seattle too. Okay. Jumping around here, we'll jump to that Sunday night game. San Francisco, Buffalo, we both kind of had that game there. Buffalo ran roughshod. Frisco falling apart. It looks more and more like maybe they should start trading some players and getting younger, man.
Yeah, and you mentioned
really
that.
Obvious.
You mentioned that, and I was agreeing with you. I was like, it sounds like something that should think about over there, because they're contract heavy. They lock themselves out of progressing and getting younger and getting faster. So, but you know, Buffalo's playing well. To me, they're like the Detroit Lions. They're good, but you can't trust. I don't trust them yet. Like you got to win.
Well, they kind of call Frisco weak, and and they look a little bit better than they probably are.
And they're playing the snow, and everybody plays different in the snow. And then, you know.
Yeah, they were having fun in the snow. I remember the snow a couple of years ago. Cincinnati went up there and embarrassed them. So it just is what it is. Frisco was pretty weak coming into that game, and they lose the Bills exploited it.
And they lose McCaffrey doing that too. So
McCaffrey's hurt. You know, Trent Williams was out. No Nick Bosa. It's the same thing. I mean, they've got an injury-ridden team. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Boy, I love watching this I just reordered, again, HBO. Love Hard Knocks. Funny comment about preparing for the Cincinnati Bengals. Mike Tomlin's always got a good quote. He said, quote, "That SOB is dangerous," talking about how well that Joe Burrow was playing coming into that game. Of course, we said they would pull it off. Man, 41 points. I know they got a pick 6 in that game. What do you think? Well, Steelers kind of rolling right now, ain't they?
Roll and Russ we trust. You know, like
Russ has really found some success in that new home there.
He was slinging the rock, and that for a lot of people is kind of scary, because he wasn't doing that in the last 2 seasons. He didn't have that kind of confidence, and that's kind of scary. If you're a team that got to play them, you got to watch out, because if he's feeling good running, that's one thing, because Russ scrambles and he'll make plays. But if he's throwing the rock the way he's throwing it now, even Jeremy mentioned that he was cooked 2 seasons ago, and even Keith Engle's like, he can't throw. Ever since he got injured and came back, he can't throw. He was throwing it last week, and
this offense suits him, man, and you know. Their line's actually holding up a lot better. They're getting more push in the run. I'm talking about the Steelers, more push in the run game, better pass blocking, good offensive coordinator that fits his skill set perfectly in Arthur Smith. But we talked about this the other day when he was commenting. I don't know about giving no 3-year extension.
No.
Do a year-to-year thing. This is working because you're only paying him $2 million or something.
Right. And I'm excited because you get to see Russ like we all want to see Russ. He only did that one game. I've always mentioned he'll win you 4 or 5 games in the season himself. You know, I won't. You know, so. But I'm not going to give him a 3-year extension.
You're not going to go overboard with it.
No. And one thing that we haven't seen yet is Najee Harris break out. Like he's had a few games here and there that he's. But, you know, once he breaks,
had a good game last Sunday though.
Yeah, is he going to break out? Is he going to be the Najee Harris of 2 seasons ago? Like, what's going on over here? Like, and if Russ picks up his game, Najee Harris picks up his game, and these wide receivers and Vermouth in the Steelers got a good team. All of a sudden, they got a good offense, and the last 4 games
they're better in the linebacker. They're actually better defensively.
Yeah.
In spots.
The last 4 games, they weren't scoring more than 12, 14 points a game anyway. So this is good for them, man. It's going to be good. So
on the flip side, this Cincinnati continues to crater. Philly, Baltimore. I told you it was about the way I expected, man. What's your take on that game?
It was good to see the Eagles stay steady and stay with the running game. That they know now who they are. They know what they have to do. They have to start with the running game. If they don't start the running game, they will not be part of that game. They will, they'll struggle during that game that they play. Baltimore, like they didn't push the ball like they should have. They missed a few kicks that shouldn't.
Yeah, Justin Tucker, is he washed up, man?
It just felt like one of those Twilight Zone games where everything you thought was going to go smooth didn't go smooth. Like you saw Derrick Henry get stopped, like tackled really hard, and you're like,
that was the guy we was talking about in the draft, Cooper DeJean. Textbook tackle there.
Woo, we set him up perfect.
Give him a game ball for that.
Yeah, and I was kind of just shook. I was like, man, this is not good, because what happens is that other teams are watching video on like how to stop Derrick Henry, right? Because the other teams are watching video on like, I don't want to tackle Derrick Henry. So this is something that this is something that shows up on tape, and people take they take in on it. So I don't know. Baltimore need to step up the game. I'm glad that they have a bye week. They get some
rest. Yes, I did win that one, but I will say this: if they played together again when the circumstances were different, where they both somewhat had equal rest, I think Baltimore may win that game. Remember that Monday night game, hadn't had a bye week yet, pretty banged up, playing against probably the hottest team, one of the hottest teams in the league. And I thought that defense would give out. And you saw big runs by Saquon Barkley that normally that run defense by Baltimore don't give up.
Right.
He had over 100 yards against Baltimore and got the touchdown.
And it's important to mention that they ran the ball so much and they had the time of possession that kept Baltimore from catching up.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem, was that Baltimore fell behind and they tried to catch up. They have to just go.
Yeah.
And if they try to play catch up, a team is more likely to be able to be competitive and beat them in that game. But
I think they could be a force to be reckoned with after this bye week.
I think they'll be all right in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're going to be tough, man. They're a legit contender. They do give up the big plays in the secondary, but, man, that offense is tough. It comes at you from so many different angles. Let's see, Texas A&M, Texas. That was a tight game. I told you I kind of like Texas, and they came through. They came through on the road. That's a big win for Texas. It's hard playing down there in College Station.
Yeah, it was huge. Atmosphere was great. What happened at the end was not, but look, there's a reason Texas is ranked where they're ranked, and I'm glad that they played like that. Like, I didn't see that in the last 3 games from Texas, and I'm glad that the Texas that they got them to play in that level, because they have to be at that level to be in this championship playoff series, because you can't be stagnant, man. And yours and the defense, like, they can't just be like on the field. They got to play and be competitive, man. I mean, and I'm glad that they did that. Sucks that I lost that, but
Yeah, I'm up 9 games, but hey, man, you still got some time here, brother.
Yeah, and look, I'm not upset about it. Look, when there's good football, I don't care what I think. Like, and, I'm not a betting man anyway, so
yeah.
But I want to see good football. I want to see good games, man. And this was a good game, and I don't care that I
Those
lost.
rival games were pretty good.
And it's not that I don't care to lose to you. I just want to be like, I want to, like I said, like I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And this is good. Between us, that's competitive. So.
Hey, man, of course, dude. Let's see. You know what? We'll start with these college games, and we still got another pro game to talk about. Or you know what? We could go ahead and do that Charger game. Chiefs-Chargers. That's a good game, man. Coming up. That's the other pro game I didn't send you. We covered Seattle, Arizona. We covered Atlanta, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts about the Chargers and the Chiefs, man? That was a close game early. And remember, the Chargers had a bunch of injuries in that game. The first time they played the Chiefs earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about these good games, man, I know that that wasn't one. I don't like the referees being involved the way they get involved at the end of the game. Like if you call a game and you're
saying that the Chiefs get too many breaks by the refs. It's
just, it's so blatant sometimes, and the NFL has to be careful about that because people have been complaining about that, man. And just call a good game, let the players play. I think that this game, I don't know, man. I just want to see a good game, and the better team should win. And I think right now the better team still is the Chiefs. They're the ones that could lose this game. They're how I say the Eagles are the only ones that can lose that game. Yeah, I think the same thing about the Chiefs. If they're going to lose, it's their game to lose. And I say that because the Chargers, even though they're coming up, they're still trying to find a balance. They still kind of unbalanced. So
they just feel like they don't quite have the roster yet squared
away. Right. Like they're missing players.
Yeah, we saw in the Ravens game where they just kind of folded at the end, where the defense had gaping holes in it. You could tell the coaching's there. You could tell the belief is there.
Mm-hmm.
Ladd McConkey, great game against Atlanta last week, but now they don't know if he's going to play. And the last game where they won 17-10, Chiefs, the only touchdown the Chargers scored was that Ladd McConkey. We don't know if he's going to play. And everybody else, there's just no consistency. I mean, Quentin Johnson's really been a letdown as far as consistency is concerned for this Charger team. Only way the Chargers can win this game is say Bosa has a game, just a game and a half. Him or Khalil Mack. Because they do have problems at their left tackle there for the Chiefs. A fluke turnover here and there, a special teams play, the Chargers could win this game. And I'm not saying that for hyperbole, but I don't think none of that stuff's going to happen. I think the Chiefs are going to be ready.
And they're at home.
Chiefs are going to be amped up. They're going to get their 12th win, 27-20 Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit more. They're at home, so.
It's a division game, though, and everybody knows each other.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 21-14. It depends on the weather down there, too.
Chiefs?
Yeah, Chiefs.
Yeah, it's in Kansas City. I don't think the weather's going to be an issue, but it might. Let me double check. You never know this time of year. Kansas City, Missouri, just clear and cold. High 57, but I think that's a Sunday night game, if I'm not mistaken there. It's either Sunday night or Monday night.
Ain't one of those games you got to wear long johns.
Yeah, it's cold in Kansas City now, man.
It's cold in Nashville.
I mean, Nashville's super cold right now. That's going to be Sunday night game. Don't get me wrong, they could go up there and beat them. If anybody could beat them, it's this team. It's this team. J.K. Dobbins has been put on IR, but I think Gus Edwards is okay at number 2 running back. It's just Chiefs don't quite have the roster. Chargers, excuse me. The Chiefs seem to catch a break every week this year. I don't know what they catch teams banged up, and that's going to hurt them in the playoffs.
Oh,
We
yeah.
saw the Buffalo game. That's going to hurt them. But obviously, if you're the Chiefs, what can you do? You play the schedule that's in front of you.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells says you are what your record says you are.
I think, it's important. I think that the fact that you have Mahomes and you can score, that's off the table. Their defense is consistent and can beat out and win out, then they're going to be okay. And that's the most important thing that they gotta get balanced out, because they're not scoring as much as they were scoring last year, the Chiefs, but you don't need to score that much if your defense is doing their job as well. So
yeah, and they'll eventually get it. We got a lot of these conference games. What's your thoughts about? Man, this is a weird Big 12 here. Who in the heck would have thought Arizona State and Iowa State would be in the Big 12? The winner will get in the playoff. The loser probably not. I hope not. It would be unwatchable. But what's your thought, Arizona State, Iowa State? That's for the Big 12. A couple of young, up-and-coming coaches there, man.
I mean, and if you look at the records, you wouldn't think that they was that good. Like,
right,
10-2, both of them.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, Kenny Dillingham for Arizona State. I was just pounding on these young guys, saying these young NFL guys are not ready. This guy, now this is college, of course, but Kenny Dillingham is 34 years old. And we know about Matt Campbell. He's been around for about 5 years now with Iowa State. Remember, they beat Oklahoma a few years ago. And everybody was shocked by that.
I mean, and in Arizona State, they the old coach there from the Jets and
with Herm Edwards.
He left.
Cleaned all that up pretty quickly. Kelly didn't. I'll give you my pick then. Arizona State was actually they've got a better resume.
They do.
I'm actually going to pick Arizona State 25-21. They win the Big 12. They beat Iowa State, although I do like that coach for Iowa State. I kind of like Arizona's. Their resume looks a little better to me, so we'll see. Who do you like in that game, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Arizona State too. I like the turnover there, the change of the culture. Iowa State ain't won anything in 12 years. It's not that they're gonna keep it going, but I like that they have a turnover in culture there too. But it's just two different worlds, especially like athlete wise and depth. Arizona State has a little bit more depth and speed, so I think they're gonna win out. I don't know, 24. I don't know, 24. I'd say about. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be high scoring.
No, it's 25-21 is what I said.
Yeah, I think it'll be like 24-14, something like that.
Okay.
24. Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that SMU would be in the ACC? That's kind of weird, but all this realignment's weird. They're out of Dallas. They're playing Clemson, and you want to say Clemson because that's the brand name. That's the Nike. That's Delta Airlines. That's McDonald's. But SMU, they got this dual threat quarterback.
It's the hottest team in the nation, man. The hottest.
Yeah, this is another good guy. Third-year head coach Rhett Leashy. I'm surprised there's a chance he may get a big offer soon as well. Dabo Swinney. We've talked about this before with him not wanting to embrace NIL or transfer portal, and the game's passing him by. I'm really disappointed in Dabo's ability not to adapt and overcome. SMU was actually favored, and I'm kind of with the odds makers on this one. 31-27. I like SMU, man. Southern Methodist University to beat Clemson.
Yeah.
Part of me hopes I'm wrong because I'd like Dabo Swinney, but
no. I mean,
you got to call a spade, man.
Yeah, he's an ACC, and the competition level was kind of erratic.
It's
over
way
there.
Down this year.
And the way he struggled to get some major picks to his school for the things he said and the things he's done, and SMU is one of the hottest teams in NCAA, and it's time to give them credit where credit is due. And they might win this one. I'm not sure how far far they'll go. But
Right. I don't know how they'll match up with
but Jennings
with the Big Ten.
I don't know if you've
team.
seen. I don't know if you've seen any of their games, but Jennings is is hell of a quarterback.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
He, not many, but I've seen some highlights, and I know he's a good dual threat.
Yeah. I like him.
Yeah.
So I'm with you at probably like 27-24 SMU.
Okay. Keep it interesting for that matter. These guys will be playing. These winners will be playing in this playoff here in 2 weeks. I wish it was next week, but I kind of understand, because if you lose this thing, then you got to play the very next week if it was like that. So let's see. Let's go to Oregon and Penn State. Let me make a case for Penn State.
Why?
This game is played in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
That's closer to Penn State. Okay. So that's the only thing I could really make for Penn State. Their defense is not quite what it used to be. Remember, this Penn State team did give up 30 to USC. Could Oregon be looking ahead? It's only a 3.5-point spread. All that's just some kind of, air quote, hypothetical. At the end of the day, I think Oregon's going to stay focused, though. 27-20. Dylan Gabriel is a big game player for Oregon. I like Oregon actually to win this game. But we'll see. What do you think, man? Penn State, Oregon. This should be Ohio State and Oregon, like I said, but Ohio State pooped in the bed last week and messed around and lost that Michigan game.
Yeah, and I'm pull a lot for Penn State. My sister's alum there. Support them, but this Oregon team is just fun to watch. It's on defense and on offense, and this quarterback is starting to get his due up there in Oregon, and just some of the things that Franklin does at games to like. He's
just not he used to be a big game coach at Vanderbilt. What is with him at Penn State, man?
I was kind of happy that he was, pushing the gas on Maryland, but it was like, that's a Maryland team. You should have done this on all your, against all the teams. But Oregon's fun. They're the team to beat this year. I don't know if Penn State can do. I don't know if they have enough depth to do it. Penn State's game's a little bit slower. Oregon plays fast on offense and defense.
They're going to have to run the ball the whole time.
Yeah, so I feel like it's going to be like 32-20, 21.
You're saying Oregon too?
Oregon,
yeah. All right, man. Here we go. Texas, Georgia. Texas, I checked it just before we went on the air. Texas is still 2.5-point favorites. This game is being played in Atlanta like it always is. The SEC championship. I will say this. If Texas can somehow put in another formation to just maintain about 2 seconds more for Gwen Ewers, who's battling an ankle injury, didn't bother him in the Texas game. And I did mention last week that maybe Arch Manning bring him in for certain situations. They brought him in, he scored, or just bring him in, period, if that ankle injury is too bad for Quinn Ewers. So that being said, it's in Atlanta. I picked it in the preseason. I said Georgia would beat them in Texas. I should have stayed with that prediction, but I didn't because I was too much into the stats of Texas. But this time I'm thinking 31-24. Closer game. It was 30-15 in Austin, but I think it's 31-24. Texas plays better, but it's not enough. Georgia wins.
Ooh.
Georgia will beat Texas. What do you think, man?
You finally going against Texas. I like it.
It was a preseason pick. Come on.
No, I mean, again, I didn't trust Texas. I've been telling you that all season. Like, I'm not trusting this team, and I think this is when they buckle and fall against a true seasoned team like Georgia and the coach that they have there. They know how to play big games. They play up for big games, and this is going to be a big game. And I don't trust Ewers, and I think that defense is going to get to them, the young defense that they got. So, I'm hoping for this one to go that way too. And I think Georgia wins 32.
Okay, we
20.
picked the same games this week again, so you can't make up any ground on me. But you're picking with your head, not what you want to happen.
I want to see good again. I want to see good football. Not that I, trying to get a win off. But,
Yeah, I hear you, brother.
When I get a win, I like to let you know.
Yeah. Georgia is now. I'll say this: if Texas, I think they're going to lose this game, but it'll put them with 2 losses. I think they should still get in the playoff. I think Ohio State should still get in the playoff. And quite frankly, I was okay with Alabama jumping with 3 losses, a Miami team who messed around and screwed that game up in Syracuse. They've been living on the edge for a long time.
Oh man, it's bad because Cam Ward's, I
love Cam Ward, but he don't play defense. It's kind of like the NFL Joe Burrow.
but I don't know. We'll see what happens over there in Miami. Cristobal's got some stuff to change over this season, and
he's got to tighten that D up, man.
The last 2 seasons they've been talking about this Miami team, and we haven't seen them peak yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see. There's a lot of money in that NIL for that team too. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I hope he's not in trouble. But
the NIL people need to understand.
They have improved. They just got 2 losses, and I would love to see them to get in. Ohio State's still going to be in the playoff. Which I think they deserve it still, even though they lost to Michigan.
We have to understand that NIL is not college money; it's player money. So
right.
It don't matter how much money goes into NIL. That's not going to make your team better. At the end of the day, you just give players money. They don't.
You got to have chemistry and all that stuff and good scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Mad New Yorker, everybody. All right, Chief. I'll see you next week, man. Not unless there's anything you need to add.
Nah, man. Keep those nachos cheese warm, man. Nashville's cold as heck.
Yeah.
Enjoy your football.
See you, man.